Well, good Tuesday morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities and everybody watching online on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, we got a jam-packed show. We're going to wrap up with the NFL Week 17 after a barn burner of a Falcons game last night. We'll get into that. We'll get into entertainment finally. We got our guy from Bakersfield, California. Is it Rick Bentley?
Rick Bentley.
Rick
Yes.
Bentley will be joining us at 7:30. We'll talk everything entertainment. And I know that means Avatar, it means Stranger Things, and everything else that's going on in the entertainment world. Plus, our boy 24KG will join us at 8 o'clock to talk a little wrestling. You can call or text into the show anytime at 661-842-2000.
And I cannot wait to talk to Mr. Bentley because if you're a listener of all of the shows here at American General Media, he does do a weekly segment over on our sister station of Kern Radio with our guy Ralph Bailey. That is where I met up with him and asked him, hey, we needed to talk about some movies and we need somebody who's knowledgeable, so you want to come on? And he was more than willing to come on. I am gonna, however, try to pick his brain on his top 10 or maybe just get the top 3 movies of the year, which ones in his opinion are the best ones, because everybody's got their own opinions. Personally, my favorite movie of the year, Sinners. There is not a single movie, in my opinion, that I saw this year that impacted me more than Sinners did. Now, again, I don't qualify Stranger Things or anything that made me cry in that area, like John Cena's retirement. But at this point, movie-wise, Michael B. Jordan, Haley knocked it right out of the park. And it still holds up. Like I could watch it probably once a day for a week and enjoy it every single time, in my opinion. But that's
a good movie. It's a good movie.
It's a fantastic movie. What also was fantastic was that just amazing Monday Night Football game. It really does annoy me though that my team decides to show up at the end of the year when playoffs are out of reach.
Same here.
But there's a possibility the Falcons could tie the top 2 teams in the division. Now, granted, we don't make the playoffs. I understand that. But there's still some things to be said there. There's some, positives that could be taken. And yes, Kirk Cousins has a lot to do with that, although he had nothing to do with the win last night. Not a dang thing. If anybody had anything to do with last night's victory, it's 2 men. One goes by the name of Bijan Robinson, who is the best running back in football. Okay, maybe Christian McCaffrey. But at this point, I'm putting Bijan up there. I love Jonathan Taylor. I love Derrick Henry. I love Christian McCaffrey. But there is nobody that does what that man does on the football field. I'm sorry. There's not. At least in my opinion.
He had a good year.
I mean, who would you say is a better running back at this point?
I mean, you listed a couple of them. I mean, it's really going to go on favoritism and biotism and all the other tisms, but I think he's up there.
Right.
I can't pick one and say he's the best one of all. But, I mean, Jonathan Taylor would be in the mix. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan's up there. He's my running back in my franchise league. I overpaid for him, and I was happy about it all year. But there's some other guys that get no love, and I mean, they're young, so I'm not going to get into a bicker over it. I think he's up there in the top 5, but there's always guys that never get mentioned that I'm like, really? Because this guy is leading the team and everything. But there's a couple of them. I would definitely, he's my top 3 running back every year. I'm happy with him.
Oh, 100%.
I'm still a little salty over my franchise league where I get into a tie to go to the championship and it goes to the higher seed instead of the bench. And then, of course, this week I scored almost double of everyone because of guys like Bijan. So I'm just a little salty still.
I can't help you on the first part of that.
But I do say that A-Chain never gets any love, and he had a best year of his career, and no one talks about him. And I guarantee you, if you look at the stats, he scored just as much as all of those guys you just mentioned.
That's absolutely fair. And on a bad team, it goes, I think, towards him because he's the one leading them. So
I think it's the same thing with Bijan. I think that's why Bijan doesn't get as much love is because he's on the Falcons.
Fair.
If he was on the 49ers, or if he was on the Cowboys or somebody like that, you would never hear the end of his name.
Probably.
But I love Bijan.
But I'm just saying that when I watch football, at least when I've watched these teams play, there's nobody, including Christian McCaffrey, who does things that this guy does with a football.
Yep.
Nobody. And it was even getting to a point where last night I was sitting there watching the game and praying to God that we never see a moment where this man has to deal with an ACL, MCL, UCL, CCL, whatever.
Yeah.
Never any knee injury, period, or ankle. I don't want to see a single lower body injury for this kid, just solely because what we're seeing him do with the football is fantastic, and I have never seen this before. I mean, he was getting compliments and comparisons to Barry Sanders last night, to Walter Payton. Like, again, not trying to be the guy to put them in the same category yet, but if this trajectory continues, he will be up there with those guys, much like guys like Christian should be as well, and give him his flowers. But there is just nobody in football that runs the ball like this guy. And Atlanta, unfortunately, waited to the last second to figure that out. But it ended up with a win for them last night, 27-24, in a fantastic game at the end of it all. The Rams dang near came back and won, keeping their hopes alive for a higher seed. But now they'll be locked into the 6th seed, if I'm not mistaken. And at this point as well, Sean McVay will most likely bench everybody next week, give them the bye week that they need or want for the starters, and go into the playoffs taking on, oh God, where would that put them? It wouldn't be the the Packers would have the Bears. So they would be taking on the 3 seed, which would be the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. That's a pretty good first round matchup for them.
Especially getting Devontae back.
Right.
Because they definitely need him back.
They do. But I mean, Puka Nacua, though, is still making some ridiculous plays. That last touchdown he hauled in, honestly, not even just that touchdown. The play before that got called back that should have been a touchdown. I said it yesterday. I mean, they're 2 bona fide Hall of Fame wide receivers. Is anybody going to dispute that? But as it sits right now, I don't think the Rams are really concerned going into the playoffs. I think that they're just going to bench the stars and say, all right, we know who we are. We know where we're going. And to be honest with you, if you're not playing at a full tilt, you're not going to beat this team. I don't think the Eagles are going to beat this team, not playing the way they have been all season long. And again, I said this, I think yesterday or late last week, I don't think they're ever going to figure it out this year. I think this is going to be something they address in the offseason, maybe make some moves. Maybe A.J. Brown does get moved, even though he really shouldn't. He's shown that if you actually feed him the ball, he is a top wide receiver in the league, excuse me. But I just don't think that they are getting the train back on the tracks for this playoff run. I really don't. I think if they were going to, or if it was going to happen, it would have happened maybe a week or 2 ago. And we would have been sitting here saying, okay, this is the championship Eagles that everybody was kind of expecting. So I think the Rams going into the playoffs, knowing they'll be taking on a team like the Eagles, I think this is a God-given blessing for them. It really is. Because you're going to have a team that knows who they are, that are offensively stout in almost every way, because the running backs there are fantastic as well. Kyron Williams and Corum are just, I'd give them top 10 tandem. I wanted to give them more love than that, but I feel like top 10 is probably a safe number. But with 2 bona fide Hall of Fame wide receivers, a Hall of Fame quarterback who's probably going to win his first MVP this season, things are looking up for the Rams. And we've seen more wild card teams make a Super Bowl in the last couple of years than not. So I think they're sitting in a pretty dang good spot, even after losing to the Falcons.
Yeah. I mean, looking at if the playoffs started today, that's what it would be. It would be in the NFC would be the Bears and Packers, which would be a hell of a game. I think the Bears edged them out right now just with all the injuries Green Bay's dealing with.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles and Rams, as well as the Panthers and Niners, which all could be good games. But over in the AFC, I'm looking at New England and Buffalo right now, which would be a hell of a AFC East showdown. If anybody can bring it to New England, It would be Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jacksonville and the Chargers.
Rematch from a couple years ago,
Another hell of a matchup. And the Texans and Steelers, which could be the Steelers or the Ravens.
Let's be honest. I'm still standing on what I said yesterday. It's going to be the Ravens. I just don't believe in the Steelers. I don't think that this is going to be the magical turn it around game, although Aaron Rodgers can probably pull it out for one more. But even if you get to the playoffs, it's going to be a swift exit. You're not going to be beating one of the best defenses we've seen in years as a young quarterback and CJ Stroud, who does step up in the playoffs.
Does that change your mind if Lamar doesn't play?
Yeah, a little bit, because to be honest with you, although I do think that the success is tied to the run game for the Baltimore Ravens, it's also going to be on Lamar's arm, because this is one of the worst pass defenses in the entire league. And if you don't exploit that at some point, you're going to be just doing yourself a disservice. And Lamar is the leader of that team. As much as people love Snoop Huntley, I cannot sit there and say that this team is in better standing with him than they are with Lamar Jackson. It's not the same. Excuse me. Sorry. It's not the same as saying like certain situations, like maybe a Mac Jones and a Brock Purdy, where you kind of get the same production, even though Brock Purdy's playing out of his mind right now. But it is like you're not in the same standing. So I would say you definitely need Lamar back this week. You have to find a way to get him going in the pass game. Maybe get Mark Andrews going a little bit early, or Zay Flowers, whoever you want to rely on more. But yeah, I do think that it really does pivot on if Lamar plays this week, which it's to be determined. As of yesterday, we had no idea if he's going to play. I thought he was leaning more towards playing, especially with what is at stake at this game. But I also say if he doesn't play, is this more of an injury keeping him out, or is this more of him saying, meh,
I'm out.
I don't want to do this. Like, I don't really care if we win, kind of a thing.
It's so wild too.
And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I mean,
he's been hinting at it.
It just kind of seems like that. This entire season has kind of seemed like that. There are instances where he's not showing up to practices because of random injuries that occur. And don't get me wrong, I know that injuries happen in games all the time.
But you're the team leader, team captain.
Right. I mean, you're the one who pulled out all of the games and the ping pong table and all that stuff out of the locker room. So clearly there has been a mindset shift in Lamar Jackson, which could be good, could be bad. I have no idea. But at this point right now, I don't know if it's, he's holding himself out or if there's an actual injury that he is dealing with that's lingering. Because I don't know a lot of head coaches that aren't going to look at your starting quarterback and say, you're playing this week. Yeah.
We pay you to be playing in these big games.
We have a playoff spot on the line, the division on the line. What do you mean you're out? And again, I just don't know. I have no idea. Obviously, we're not in the front offices of Baltimore. But if he doesn't play on Sunday, there's going to be a lot of questions.
Going into an offseason, which we've already talked about, which either team, both teams are probably one loss away from firing their coach.
Right.
Two, with all this whole division has been wild this season, whether it's the Burrow crap that we've been talking about for months, or now Lamar and the what was expected out of Baltimore this year. In the offseason, they were one of the Super Bowl favorites. And we talked all through the season of what is going on in Baltimore. And now, with Pittsburgh backing in, which is in a lucky position because their defense has not been anything like the Pittsburgh Steelers of old. And that's another thing, 2-3 weeks ago, they were chanting, fire Tomlin, which is another question. I mean, if Pittsburgh loses, is this the end of Tomlin? We kind of felt the same way with Aaron Rodgers, talking about this is his final season, blah, 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 blah. But if it's ending in this way, Aaron Rodgers is just a phone call away. I'm like, okay, one more year.
Right. But again, I don't know if they fire Tomlin. I really don't. I think that Tomlin's job is safe. I think that he's in a driver's seat of he leaves when he wants to, kind of a thing. And if they came to a mutual agreement and said, you know what, maybe it is time to move on, then it would go down probably maybe a year or two from now. I don't think that they're going to really take this season with the roster that Tomlin has had and really blame Tomlin for not being able to put it on the field. Because although you're right, the defense hasn't looked like the Steelers' defense of old, it is still the same defense of old. It's the exact same guys. It's all just an aging group that have, just reached that point in their careers where it's time to really, say sayonara, I'm retiring.
Yeah, we knew
I'm
it was going
out.
to be a short term with these guys. A lot of them
Right.
are older.
Ramsey, as much as we love him, maybe has 2 years left at the safety position before he starts considering retirement. Cam Hayward probably should start considering retirement, not because he can't play, but because it's just there's got to be a guy that's probably able to fill that spot a little bit better. And to be honest, the longer you wait to let go, the more you're going to hurt the franchise.
And you're going to hurt yourself.
Yes. And I know the money's hard to walk away from. Don't get me wrong, especially when you're guys like Cam Hayward, who just got a contract restructuring in the beginning of this season. But when is the levee going to break, big guy? When are you guys going to let younger players come in like a Jack Sawyer, who looks fantastic? When are you guys going to let the guys like that step in? That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm looking at, we ran down what the playoffs would look like now if it was to end today. But looking at, a lot of these younger teams, whether it's Jacksonville or New England, the Chargers, Houston, are you relying on, you think the AFC is still going to run through one of these older teams, whether it's Baltimore, Pittsburgh, or even Buffalo?
I would, if any of them, I'd say Buffalo. Only because Buffalo has been there, but I feel like Houston, you can kind of even pluck out of that young team category because they've been in the playoffs too. And they've shown that they could win a playoff game. So it's really not the same as somebody like the Chargers or the Jaguars who haven't figured it out yet. But I would say that I think that I genuinely think the AFC is either running through Foxborough or it's going to be running through one of those wild card seats, one of those wild card teams, I should say, because obviously none of them are going to have a home game. But it's hard for me to really shy away from Vrabel. I think we're all just kind of doubting that the Patriots are going to figure it out in the playoffs because we're all just not ready for the Patriots dynasty to restart. Because again, like we were just giving a Patriots fan in here grief the other day, it hasn't been that long, man. You guys didn't have the rebuild as most of us did and had to go through. So it's not fair to a lot of fan bases. And that's why everybody is up in arms and saying, God, this is just not fair. And we don't want to see it. We don't want to see the Patriots back yet. But let's be honest, they're kind of back. They're kind of there. So if there's any team right now outside of Buffalo that I would say it runs through, it would be New England. It would be Vrabel. It would be Drake May. And honestly, it might be them in the Super Bowl. It genuinely might. The offensive inconsistencies of the Broncos are too glaring to ignore. We have, like I said, the Jags and the Chargers are going to be killing each other. One of the two of them is going to get knocked out in the first round. I would say the Houston Texans most likely move on because, to be honest, I don't think that either the Baltimore Ravens or the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be up to the task to take down that defense. But then again, the years of J.J. Watt, we've said the same thing, and then they get blown out in the first round, so God only knows. At this point, though, I have to say it stays with Foxborough. I think it stays in New England. That is just the best team on the AFC side, in my opinion.
I think if they can get by Buffalo, if that's who they end up playing, I think if they get through Buffalo, it's a ride.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the biggest game. But Houston, and I'm not going to count out Jacksonville, and I never thought I would say that, but the way Jacksonville and their defense is playing, it seems like Trevor Lawrence has found his groove. And the same thing in the NFC. We're used to teams like the Eagles, the Rams, and even the Packers. But throwing in Seattle in the mix, throwing in teams like the Bears who are playing good football, it's a crapshoot to me.
On the NFC side, I really want to see something out of Sam Darnold, and I want to see something out of Caleb. I don't expect either of those teams to make it to the Super Bowl, although it would be a pleasant surprise in both areas. I still think that it's going to be the Rams or the Niners to pull this off. I really do, especially with the way the Niners are playing right now, just ridiculously good. And the Rams are the Rams. They're just the stacked team in the wild card that really shouldn't be a wild card team. If they were in any other division, they'd be winning their division hands down. But much like I said about the Broncos, the inconsistencies of the Eagles most likely going to get them knocked out early. I just can't trust a team like that. Same with the Packers. I said it yesterday. I just feel like the spark of fire that was there for the Packers is dead. It kind of got snuffed out after Parsons got injured, and really we haven't seen the same Green Bay team. Now, if Jordan comes back week 18 and slings it, I could be eating my words. I really could going into wild card weekend, but it's going to take a healthy, and I mean 100% healthy Jordan Love in order to make that happen.
I'm
I
more
don't know if we're going to
surprised
get
that the
that.
Eagles haven't found their groove, because usually around this time of the year
Is where
they're
they figure it
on
out.
all cylinders. And the last couple of weeks, Philly's made me nervous, and I'm
That's what
not
I'm
even an
saying.
Eagles fan.
And that not counting the Raider game, obviously, which, let's be honest, was a second bye week for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I agree. I mean, again, everybody, we just had a fan in here yesterday said, well, we're winning, aren't we? Yeah, true. You're winning. But can you really honestly say that you won because your team was that good? Or are you winning just because things happen to be going your way? And trust me, although luck is a great thing to rely on in sports, it runs out all the time when you don't want it to. And I agree with you. Usually, that's why I said I would have assumed they would have figured out the offensive issues weeks ago. But I could pull out my stats that I had yesterday. They're bottom 15 in almost every offensive category. And it's not pretty. Like, they aren't winning football games in pretty fashion at all. In fashions you would expect the Super Bowl champion to be winning games. So it definitely makes me believe that this isn't the best Eagles team we're going to get. I think they're going to get smacked in the mouth early in the playoffs and then probably have to retreat, have an off season to rebuild, and then come back next season, probably win the division again and show everybody we didn't go anywhere. We're still the same squad, but it's going to take a year for them to get back into this. And honestly, I think that the issue is somewhere in that offensive line, because it just has not moved people as well as it used to. And you could sit there and blame the tush push or whatever, or like the drama around that and the drama they've dealt with all season. But if it's all a mental game, I feel like they would have figured a way to fix this a couple weeks ago. I really do. But we'll see. Maybe they'll flip the switch first week of playoffs, and we'll finally see that championship caliber team that we've all been waiting for in Philadelphia. I just don't see it. I don't see it popping up this season. I think the Super Bowl hangover is just too much to get over. It really is. Let's take an early break. I know our guy Rick Bentley should be around the studio here in the next couple minutes. We'll be talking entertainment on the other side, the top movies of 2025 and shows. Plus, would just love to get his thoughts on this Avatar movie that Sparky got to watch, and he said that it was the best one in his opinion. Would love to hear Bentley's opinion on this as well. Let's take a break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. But we had to talk entertainment because Stranger Things is out, and me and Sparky are way too big of fans to not talk about this type of stuff. Plus everything else that's happened in 2025. And to do that, we have to talk to the best of the best, and that is Mr. Rick Bentley from KGET 17. Sir, good morning. Sorry to drag you out of
I'm
work.
sorry. You said you had the best of the best. So I need to get out of this
No,
chair
no.
so they can come in.
You are the best here currently. I watch your segments every single week and can't wait
I
for them.
appreciate that.
Plus, obviously, I hear you every single week on Fridays at the Ralph Bailey Show.
Yeah, which I thoroughly enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you'll get a different take on this side of the glass, though, because obviously myself and my co-host here are much younger than Mr. Bailey, and we won't be talking about
Everybody's much younger than Mr.
Well,
except for me.
I
think that's why he has me on.
I mean,
I make him look young. So.
Well, look young
Yeah.
in certain ways. Let's talk about, because I don't want to. I know you're going to be doing the show on Friday, and I don't want you to have to spill the beans on all of your favorites of what you had in 2025.
Right.
But Sparky and I are huge movie fans. I know Sparky's got a couple questions about the latest Avatar movie that he wanted to bounce off of you as well.
Fine.
But in your opinion, I just want to start with this. What was your top movie of 2025 or television series?
I'm not going to say.
You're not going to say?
I will tease at some of the good movies that I saw during the year.
Fair enough.
Because I'm getting ready to do, in fact, my show on Friday that I'm filling in for Ralph, I will reveal my top 10 best and my probably top 10 or top 5 worst. And so, but you know, it was really funny up until about beginning of November.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, do I have any movies that could make the top 10? And that, you know, traditionally Hollywood loves to fill up November, December with movies that they want to get Oscar attention for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I began to see better movies. Up until that point, the only one that would have been on my top 10 was F1. And
that's an interesting choice. Okay.
It's a surprising choice for a lot of people, but you know, I've always been I could give you 15 foreign films that should be,
that never get the attention.
And I've always hated to be that kind of critic that I try to only pick movies that played in my market, because I think it's unfair to say, obviously one of the films that's going to be on my top 10 is a movie called Hamnet, which is not played here, but it is an incredible film about William Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
So I will cheat a little bit and sometimes put one, but I'm not going to load it up.
No,
but I have no problem looking at a film like F1 to be on the top 10. I thought if you just wanted to go by cinematography and art direction, the Fantastic Four should be on there.
Honestly, Marvel does destroy in those areas most years.
Well, yeah, especially this year when they went head to head with Superman,
right?
And I thought it beat Superman both visually and story wise. But as the year began.
No, and I'm sorry. It just, you bring that up kind of made me remember what we talked about on Friday, which was the most shocking thing of the year to me, the most lucrative movie of the year, which was Zootopia 2.
And still, I looked at this past weekend, and yes, Avatar was the big movie.
Yes,
for the Christmas weekend. I get that, but Zootopia 2 was number 2.
That's incredible to me.
And so it was at 1.3 billion. It's probably going to go up to 1.4, 1.5 billion.
Do you think it's because we have had an absence of a lot of these animated movies where usually back in the 90s and early 2000s, we saw an influx of them coming out of Disney and every other animation studios? Now we maybe get 2 or 3 of them a year.
Well, I think I think this year was an example of not good Disney movies.
True.
I mean, if you look back at some of the junk they've been doing, Elio was just a bad movie.
I never watched it.
But there was some good animated films this year, but sometimes you had to look past that Disney Pixar brand.
Yep.
Right.
There's a faith-based movie out right now called David.
Mm-hmm.
I think is as good an animated film as I've seen. But it's from Angel Studios, which is not, it's known for its faith-based movies. So it's not going to get the attention that a Pixar or Disney does. There was a movie called In Your Dreams that just sort of came and went.
Remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was an excellent movie.
Right.
So there was some good, but we didn't have that that strong lineup of, and again, this was Disney's year to sort of say, hey, we're going to lean into the live action versions. And they, they
Lilo and Stitches, and I mean, there was
the horror
Demon Slayer blew up this year, and
well, that's anime though.
That's what I'm saying. There's other animated movies aside from Disney. I mean, there was Zootopia, there was Sonic. There was a lot of animated movies that we saw that were good movies, but like you said, a lot of them were steering away from Disney, which I know they're getting ready for. What is it, Toy Story next year?
Which that again, another series that they're just milking until it's dry at this point.
I hope this is the final milk.
I really do too.
And you and I may have had this conversation that we felt like that Toy Story 3.
Yes, was a perfect ending for it. You should have just stopped.
It was sentimental. It was wonderful.
We had the scene where we thought the toys were about to die.
Oh,
yeah, we had everything we wanted. Just end it right there.
Yeah, but no, we had to, but people always ask, why would they make sequels and why do they make these remakes? It's always about the money.
I'm glad we're talking about sequels, though, because I do want Sparky to get his questions out about Avatar. But I had made this point as well, because I've been skeptical about watching Avatar because of how long it's taken to get these sequels out. Do you think that kind of has hindered some of these movies from being successful? Because, I mean, Toy Story could be the same thing. We had years in between Toy Story 3 and 4, and then again 4 and 5, and all of this, and now we're getting a 6. So, do you think that these long waits and stuff like that help sequels, or do you think it hurts them?
Well, I always go back to Field of Dreams.
Okay.
If you build it, they will come. If you build it well, they will come. And I think Hollywood underestimates the audience. I mean, these are people. It costs you a lot of money to go to the movies these days, and I think people are much smarter about searching out not just me, but there's a plethora of critics out there online. You can go through. Rotten Tomatoes is a great. If people have not looked at Rotten Tomatoes, it's a collection of critics from across the country and around the world, and so you can get a good idea of whether it's worth your money. I've often said, people ask, well, what's your formula for rating a movie? And I will say one of my big criteria is this: if I like a movie and suggest you go, can I look a family of 4 in the face who have paid $70, $80 to see it and say, it was money well spent? That's part of it because it's tough times right now.
It's very true. And honestly, I think the movies are just dying in general because a lot of these streaming services and just making it easier for families to stay home and just do the movie thing at home.
And Hollywood is helping that.
Yeah.
They're making movies directly for, I see that where there's a new Matt Damon, Ben Affleck film coming up.
Yep.
And it's going to be on streaming.
Yep. Which I'm not going to be able to watch because I think it's on Apple TV, which I don't own.
Well, and that's, that then becomes, but we went through that back when we only had premium services. Oh, I subscribe to HBO, but I don't have Showtime, and Showtime would have something original. So that's not new. But again, it's making it tough. And the sports world is also seeing this with, I didn't get to see, for example, my subscription to Peacock ran out, so I couldn't watch
Sunday Night Football.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's an interesting world. But as far as Avatar,
we're big movie fans in our family, and we whether it's movie theater, which we hit the movie theater probably once, twice, maybe 3 times a month. We're big movie guys.
More than that.
It depends on the movie.
So
and I mean, if we can't find it in the streaming, we rely on a family account with Fandango, Vudu.
Yeah.
And we got hundreds and hundreds of movies, and we're like, oh man, we forgot that movie was out, and it goes so quickly in the theaters right into Fandango or Vudu. And if it's one of those movies you just don't want to wait 2 or 3 weeks before it hits a streaming option, then we usually hit Fandango. But going into Avatar, I know a lot of people are like, it took too long for the sequel, and then now it's a third one, and blah blah blah. I go because I'm a big movie fan, and I've been hooked since Avatar 1. So going in to see Avatar 3 with the family, we got to see it in IMAX in 3D, which one of the few movies I would refer, if you're going to watch a movie in 3D, this is probably one of the key ones to watch in 3D. But me personally, I was a big fan of the movie. I thought, the second one, there was times where I was like, okay,
Oh, the second was
this
awful.
is so long, and then streaming this. But this one, I think the story was better.
Yeah.
I think it kept us captive, and just
3
me,
and a
maybe
half
I'm the old guy,
hours, though.
but I
No.
caught myself looking at the graphics several different times. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Okay, that's fair. 3 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Well, because that's fair. Because 15 minutes of that you have to credit to probably credits. So
yeah,
it's 3 hours.
yeah, technically 3 hours. You can get up and leave. And so, I agree with you fully. It's interesting. I love the first Avatar. I remember writing a great review of it. And then I saw it again on television, and I realized that a lot of that great review was the 3D was so incredible.
Right.
The story is really sort of bland. Okay, so it's not the first one's not as great as I thought, but still good. The second one I thought was just a mess. It was like we just sort of taken a left turn. It felt. I wish we had gone from 1 to 3. Because I felt like 3 really did pick up where 1 took us. It answered a lot of questions. It posed a lot of questions. It introduced a great villain. I mean, 3 has I thought got back on track.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where
here.
I'm okay about seeing 4, 5, 400, 629, whatever we're going to
if
do.
we have to wait a decade or not.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought they got back on track.
So, because I agree with you, when I first watched the original Avatar in theaters, this was the first time I had watched a movie in 3D and didn't get sick.
Right.
Because it was done tastefully. I
Yes.
mean, it was kind of more like a ride at Disneyland where just the tech and like a lot of the shrubbery and stuff more bounced off of the screen rather than come straight at your face.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is one of those movies then that you have to see in theaters because obviously it's not going to land as well at home?
Well, I do think there are pictures every year that should be seen on a big screen.
Right.
Avatar is stunningly beautiful.
Mhm.
I mean, let's just throw the story out for a second. Just visually, what they're doing with that movie, although I will admit there's about 20 minutes I could have cut of swimming and flying but anyway, it's still so incredibly gorgeous. It should be seen on a big screen.
Fair.
It should be appreciated there. Yes. So yeah, you should. This is one of those.
Okay.
But then there are things like I know people are going to see Zootopia too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's going to work just as well on the small screen.
Right. No, I figured as much.
Yeah.
Talking about things that are going to the big screen that traditionally are on the small one.
Oh, here we go.
Stranger Things is coming to theaters this week for the
Right,
finale.
Tomorrow, baby.
Unfortunately, I will not be able to see it in the theater, but I will be watching it at my home in the theater, technically.
Yeah.
How much of this series have you seen first and foremost?
I've seen the first 4.
First 4. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have not seen this final season at all.
No.
Okay.
And here's my problem. I have so many things to see to get ready.
Right. That's why I had to preface with
I've
that.
seen the first 8 episodes of the second season of The Pit.
Right.
And
which is also a fantastic show.
Oh, and it's one of those that I could have gotten away from it to gone back, but it's like I couldn't stop watching.
No. Yeah,
Right?
it pulls you in so quickly.
Yeah, and then I'm also watching the new Starfleet Academy.
Right.
And
I remember you
so-
saying that. So yeah, there's plenty on your plate to watch, and I understand. But my main question for you is when these shows kind of cross that border, when you see these shows go from streaming to movie theaters, do you think this is going to work out, or do you think that it's really just shows that are this big, like a Stranger Things, or maybe say if Game of Thrones decided to do something similar like this? Do you think that only big shows like that can pull this off?
Well,
Because from what I understand, it is sold out. You can't get a seat anywhere in town.
and the great thing is it's a popular series.
Right.
And I will bet you that 90% of the people who bought tickets to see it
Mhm.
are fans of the show.
Mhm.
If you wandered into that theater and having never seen any Stranger Things,
Mhm.
it's not going to make a lot of sense.
That's fair.
And so why would you go? And we know it's very popular, so it doesn't take any. They're not opening it in 3,000 theaters or whatever.
Mhm.
I mean, they're keeping it somewhat confined, so it makes it look easier to sell out.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I still think I like the idea. that it's still going to be showing on TV.
Mm.
So it wasn't like they said, you paid for your subscription, you've seen all of them up to now, but
now you have to go to the movies.
now we're going
finish
to get
it.
some more money out of you.
Yeah.
So at least they gave it to the people who have been loyal to it and watched it.
Right.
And like the people like you who can say, you know, I can't get to the theater or I don't want to go to the theater, whatever the case may be, you can still see it at home.
No, I like that as well. But it just, I was sitting down and thinking about this, like, wow, this show has gotten so big that the finale has to be shown in theaters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's pretty impressive.
I will say this, as a huge fan of the original first 2 seasons.
Oh, it's so good. It really is. It veered away after that a little bit, but
I find this season, maybe that's why I've only seen 4, because I really feel like, you know, I what I thought was the true beauty of those first 2 seasons was it's about kids fighting monsters.
Right.
I don't know whether it's, you know, people who grew up on Goosebumps books,
right,
or whatever.
Goonies.
You know,
Goonies, absolutely.
Goonies, yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Now when you look at them and you go, well, you know, you're almost qualified for Social Security.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite have that same.
Well, and it
feel.
also doesn't help that they're all working with military and ex-military and stuff.
Well,
and it's like, okay.
One thing I've always disliked about a film or a TV series, when you have a group of people that work together so well,
right,
that when you take them and separate them, I mean, in this last season, you know, we've got some who are, you know, above ground, underground, in military bases. You don't have that whole group together. And so we don't get that in relationships between them. And so I feel like that's, you know, that's thinned. It's sort of like adding, you know, liquid to your drink. It's thin, it's watering it down.
Watering it down.
So
I can see that.
I could agree with both of you 100%. Real quick though, with the last couple of minutes we have, do you think that shows like this would serve better if they shot the entire show at once, so we didn't have the age gap differences?
Sure.
So like say if they had sat down and shot this from A to Z automatically over like a 3-4 year period and then broke it up and released it over a 10-year period after that, would you prefer it that way?
Oh, you've got to. If you're dealing with young people and it's a story about young people fighting about, you've got to, you know,
and you would avoid all of the thoughts of, well, now Dustin looks like he's in college, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
unless you do some, you know, for some reason the Harry Potter series didn't bother me as much, although they were aging along. But it felt natural. It felt like, well, they're in school, and
that was more because, or at least in my opinion, that was more because with every book they were getting older as well.
Exactly. There was a legitimate reason.
There wasn't a COVID that broke this up halfway through
or,
it.
You know, or a Marvel snap where 5 years their lives gets snapped away.
Exactly.
But
you could tell the difference if you watch the season 4 to season 1. The graphics have just drastically changed, which is going to happen when you have 10 years and you're trying to shove it all into certain
but it's also like
80s.
I see clips of season 2 with Dustin without the 2 front teeth, and he looks like he's a 12-year-old. And then you look at him now and it's like, God, he could be teaching my kid. Like,
well, and I look at Millie Bobby Brown and go,
yes,
you have a baby.
Yeah, you have a baby. You got married in the span of this show.
Yeah, exactly. And now you're playing this, you know, this young, it just, you know, and that's just something that works in the back of your mind. To me, at least, it's like, I would have preferred this when they were still young and
100%.
fresh. Yeah.
No, I think a lot of people feel that way too. But the finale is still popular enough where it's filling out seats in the theater.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And it's probably going to be one of the biggest things to end the year, really.
Exactly. It will be the exclamation point on and I do foresee a day, maybe in 10 years, where the kids of these kids suddenly become fighting the monsters again.
Oh, 100%. I would, and that seems to be a growing theme with a lot of television shows and animes these days too.
Yeah.
Because again, not to fill the last couple minutes with anime talk, but I am a huge My Hero Academia fan, and they just ended not too long ago, and that's exactly what they ended on, which was, oh, don't worry, we're coming back with more with these guys as adults. And I'm like, okay, like, don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see this, but I got this with the Naruto series and it is awful. So I'm not expecting anything big. But we have run out of time. Mr. Bentley, thank you so much for yours.
My pleasure.
Can't wait to have you back in here soon.
Anytime.
Talk all things entertainment with you whenever we can. So
sounds good.
Thank you so much for your time. We got to take a break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. God, man. Every time I hear this song, I think of Eddie. Every time. And honestly, for those of you who are hating on the Steve and Dustin relationship, that's probably the most real thing on television. Okay? I don't think any of you have gone through grief, and you need to give my boy Dustin some grace here. He's going through a lot. He is. I can't wait for this finale, dude. This finale is going to be so much fun. It's gonna, and honestly, the way they ended that last episode, leading up into this finale, dude, it's going to be jam packed with nothing but action, and I'm cool. I'm happy with it. Get all of the sentimental talking out of the way before that, and let's just get going. Let's see some Demogorgons. Let's see some Vecna killing, and finally figure out who is the main problem in this entire series.
I think it's the sister.
I keep saying the same thing.
I think she's the mind flayer.
You think so? You know what?
She's got something to do with it.
I didn't consider her being the mind flayer, or at least controlled by the mind flayer, but that is absolutely that's an absolute possibility.
I think just how they disappear.
Yeah,
I think that's just
okay.
She does that.
I noticed that at the end of this series, dude. I was sitting there like, where the hell is the sister? Like, for like an entire episode, she just disappears and then just shows up again at the end.
All
and I'm
negative.
like, when the hell did you pop up?
I'm like, okay.
Like, where have you been? I get your friends all got killed and you're traumatized by that, but there's no reason to bring your sister down a suicide pact. If you want to die, go die.
Yes.
Leave your sister alone.
She just saved you, homie.
Exactly. Like, come on, man.
But yeah, I'm excited. Like, kind of what Rick was saying, these are the small amounts where the show is so big that can go to the theater. This will be the first time I've done something like this. So I'm excited, and we jumped on it as early as we could. And theaters, I mean, I go to the movies at least once a week, and usually the theater, you can pick seats wherever you want.
Right.
This one was like, okay, we're sitting watch somebody.
And you know what's funny is I think you touched on it, but I don't think you were meaning to make the connection, but there's more of a connection to this and to anime movies than people realize as well, because you just touched on it right there. Anime fans, we watch the season throughout the entire year, and then the finales or like the movies come out and they're like extra stuff for us. And it's just there's this feeling that goes over you when you're sitting in a movie theater watching it on a big screen.
A nice snag with Rick Bentley, because we're gonna have fun with him going into the new year, because we got plenty to talk about.
I was trying to get the movie out of him for top at least, but he wouldn't even give me that. Listen to the Ralph Bailey Show on Friday. He'll be hosting all day. We got to take a break. On the other side, we'll talk sports entertainment with our guy 24KG. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Now it's hour 2 of the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 a.m. We are also streaming video-wise on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can come join us on all social media platforms, including Instagram and TikTok. I promise Reels are coming back. I'm just behind incredibly. There's a lot of things to handle at a radio station at the end of the year, that you don't have to hear about. So we promise all of that. We'll be back very, 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 very soon.
Well, that answers our text asking if the new lineup is going to take us off the air.
No.
Not that we know of.
No, not at all. Actually, we will be staying strong right here on KGEO Sports Talk. We go nowhere yet. This is the Early Bird Special real quick. We got to talk to our guy 24KG about all things wrestling, and surprising enough, we're not starting in the world of the WWE, my friend. Surprise. Sorry, should have texted you this, but World's End was over the weekend, and my God, was it ended with one of the best four-ways I've seen in wrestling in quite some time. Samoa Joe, Hangman Page, Swerve Strickland, and MJF for the Triple B Championship, and it walks away with our favorite scumbag, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the champion once again. What are your thoughts?
Future WWE guy right there.
Yeah, no, 110%.
That's it.
And I mean,
that's it. I don't have too much to say about AEW besides the improvement upon the product that they've slowly been winning by default because of the lack thereof from WWE creative that we've been seeing just all the way around. But you can't deny that the talent is there. Like they've definitely got the talent there at that company. Just creatively, sometimes storyline wise, it doesn't go anywhere, but that doesn't take away from just tuning in and seeing a banger of a match. Mm-hmm. And that's what they had. They had a stacked card of banger matches. Now, I didn't catch the entire pay-per-view, but from what I did skim over from the important highlights is the undeniable star power of Maxwell Jacob Friedman right there. To go into a triple threat against Hangman Adam Page, Samoa Joe, and Swerve Strickland, and come out the victor with the dub, says a lot about where they hold him in that company. For most people that aren't aware of AEW, they're not gonna say that it matters, but that championship really does matter, seeing as how that their first inaugural champion, Chris Jericho, is rumored to float over to WWE any day now.
And honestly, that's coming quicker than people realize. I think they're actually finalizing his contract. But
Royal Rumble,
it wouldn't
yes, indeed,
at all. But dude, we'll get to the retirement storyline at some point. I'm very impressed with AEW lately. I mean, I haven't really been able to talk about it on the show much, but they have had some pretty dang good matches lately. And I mean, outside of the four-way, Jon Moxley winning the Continental title was really fun to see as well. And they're starting a natural face turn for Moxley on AEW, which is going to be interesting to see. It's very Roman-esque, where he was the big bad for a long time, but for the first time in years, you finally heard the crowd actually get behind him and cheer his name. So we may be seeing a face Moxley over there in AEW very soon as well. Maybe going against MJF for that championship. Never know. But
I wouldn't put the cart before the horse with AEW just because
I'm not saying they're going to continue.
Just because they had one okay pay-per-view out of how many months do we have in a year? And they have a pay-per-view every month.
That's absolutely fair.
I'm just saying, let's not get too excited. Good wrestling is good professional wrestling, whatever company it's at. But
also, to be fair, though,
this one, it took some time.
To also just be devil's advocate here, though, WWE has a pay-per-view every month, too.
But there's a quality.
But you can't give one program ish for doing it and the other one not. That's all. That's my
yes, you can. Yes, you can if one's better.
Well, again,
yes,
it is what it is.
Absolutely.
That
doesn't take away from the fact. I feel you though.
I haven't even given my girl Harley any love for being the first ever women's tag champion over there with her guy Willow.
Nobody cares.
Come on,
nobody does.
Nobody cares, bro.
Fair, but come on, man, you got to give some love.
Let's get to the big dub. Let's get to the big dub.
All right.
I'll care about it when they make the jump over to actual real professional wrestling.
Look, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a playlist for you.
That's all right.
I'm gonna make a playlist for you to win you over. I know I can. That is possible.
not with
KG
AEW.
maybe not because we watched it.
Hey, you hear this guy? You hear this
it won't
guy
happen.
right now?
It won't
It
happen.
must be the end of the year.
swear,
He's talking crazy today, folks.
No, hear me out on this. I got Sparky to turn his entire his entire thoughts around on the Seth Rollins persona, on the Randy Orton persona. I can do this.
I'm still
I
on the
can
fence
do
with
this.
Randy Orton.
Hey,
but-
on the
he's
fence,
still
but we're
shaking his
moving.
head like
We're
he didn't.
shifting. That's all that matters.
Hey,
We
hey,
are
to
pulling
each
you
their
to
own.
the side.
To each their own.
WWE Raw was a fantastic showing last night. Again, another pre-taped, correct? Is this one of the pre-taped or is this actually live?
No, this was actually live.
This one was
I
actually
believe.
live. Okay.
Yes, they're
'Cause
back
I know they've
now.
been pre-taping due to the holidays and whatnot, so I didn't know if
Mhm.
they'd stretched it over to this week as well. But we got to see the Usos return to their glory and win the championships back. I personally said to Sparky off air, this was necessary. The AJ Styles Dragon Lee thing was great for what it was. I think it was more to shine them down in AAA than anything. But at this point, they handed it off to, in my opinion, the best tag team the WWE has ever seen outside of the Hardy Boys and the Dudleys. How do you guys feel about this title shift?
Well, I'll tell you like this. It was actually the right call for once. I'm glad to see that they actually did that. But it puts the tag team division in quite a predicament, seeing as how the Usos, at any given day, any given order that you want to put them in, are definitely top 5, top 3, if not the top tag team of all time, with their current, iteration of how they've been represented and repackaged right now, which isn't too far off from being Bloodline-esque. Yes, I say it was the right move, but what situation does it put the tag team division in with them being the only real tag team? You must bring back teams like what was the American Alpha guys?
Oh, right. The Creed brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get back the Lucha Bros in some way, shape, or form.
Which I think
The
is
New
coming.
Day. They just beat the New Day last week, so that's already out. Unless they form together these makeshift tag teams like AJ Styles and Dragon Lee were, these tag titles need to be united, honestly, man. The ones from SmackDown and Raw. No, because check it. Why should the women's be the only tag team title that floats over through all 3 brands? It makes no sense. Now, hear me out on this. This is where you're going to see the MFTs. They're going to take those titles from the Wyatt Six, and then this is how we unite these titles right back together by threading that old bloodline drama back on TV again, because it was the only thing that made money. Now, if it was anything that was of relevance to say, well, what about the Street Profits? What about them? Where are they at? Why aren't they being used? There are a lot of questions that have to go with the booking of, now, just because we're not praising AEW, I will say AEW has a better tag team division than WWE right now. But just because we're not giving them the same gripe and gruff about their booking issues doesn't mean we can't apply it to WWE, because they definitely have some right there. And this was a feel-good moment, but what does it mean for 2026?
Fair. Well,
we're about to find out with the new season about to start right now, and the road to WrestleMania is when we will get, I think, now that we've gone through the Cena retirement tour and all that, I think this season is going to be a key season, not only for WWE, but for Triple H and the other writers, because they got to get back on track.
Big time.
I think the John Cena thing was really the main focus of 2025. Let's get the GOAT out. Everybody's happy with the way it ended. Well, in-house, everybody's happy with the way it ended. But again, I think that, I don't think you're wrong necessarily, but I disagree that we need to unify the tag titles. I think they need to separate the women's and make them 2 separate tag titles for the women.
There's not enough women's tag teams for that right now.
That's
and
fair.
How frail the branch of the men's tag team division is hanging on to. And that thing could just fall off at any time right now, and they just totally screw this up. There's no legitimate reason why those tag teams aren't unified and defended on every other brand, other than of course, the obvious. USA wants their champions. Netflix, Raw, they've got their champions. And we don't really see enough of these tag team belts on SmackDown. Like, quite literally, when was the last time the SmackDown tag team championships were defended other than down there in AAA? Which they weren't. They were just shown off
multiple times.
You know what I mean? By the White Six having a weird match with some other weird guys down there. So, come on.
Look, man, the Wyatt Six versus the Psycho Clowns, that writes itself. Let's be honest. That writes itself. That's money in Mexico. You can't deny that.
Well, and the other good news, we finally got Mello with the belt, which I was so happy about with SmackDown last week.
Very much so.
And now I'm hearing rumor on the internet that we may see the return of the spinner because, well, Carmelo Hayes being a John Cena fan, and it kind of does fit his character to have that belt. So do you think that this happens? Do we get the spinner belt back?
Maybe in some type of WWE online, like shop online version. You have Carmelo Hayes commemorating John Cena's, U.S. title with the spinner, and they just reissue it like a replication version or a certain type. If let's just say he holds on to it long enough for them to do a version of how they did with the winged eagle on a certain PLE to honor John Cena somewhere down the line, but I don't see him. If they
brings it back, the spinner belt, pretty much the same with a couple modern tweaks, and then right there at the center, instead of it saying US, it just says him.
I could rock with it. I could rock with it,
dude. I see it. It's gonna happen. I could see it. Just a little bit of a modern twist to it, a little bit, but I could see them bringing back the spinner just to do the nod to John Cena. And why not do it now? The longer you wait, the less of an impact it's going to be. The more of a
I feel like there's 6 million 12-year-olds that'll run to Target screaming, "Mommy, buy me that belt" as soon as they see it.
Shoot, 612, dude. There's millions of grown adult men that are probably going to go buy this thing just solely because it's connected to John Cena. There's a guy on the internet and bought.
I'm one of them. I'm one of them. You see it hanging up in the back right there. Yeah, exactly. I'm one of them right there.
Exactly. So you cannot sit there and tell me that this wouldn't fly off the shelf just for bringing the spinner back. I mean,
the replica and the toy model.
Getting to the story at hand here, though, with Carmelo Hayes, who's his first opponent for that belt? Is it going to be Tommaso Ciampa, or do you think they're going to throw somebody new at him? Because personally, I think it's going to be Trick. I think
Trick is coming down the line after we have Carmelo Hayes run through DIY or DIY, whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe one other opponent. We have Trick and Mello reignite their feud on SmackDown. That's just big money all the way around when you look at it. Nonetheless, or Javon Evans, Mr. Bouncy, really, I think we would see a better match lineup rather than go immediately back to Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, which did do great in NXT, but let's let it breathe. Let's let Trick get up to the roster and get established before we just run those guys right back into it and burn that out.
I think Trick's roster call up is coming sooner rather than later. I think he's
making a lot of appearances.
I think that he could definitely be called up as soon as this week, and it wouldn't surprise me that his first match would probably be, mirror that of Carmelo Hayes. It'll probably be him and Cody Rhodes. Cody will, teach him a lesson as he did Carmelo Hayes, and then he'll go down the humbling route like Carmelo did. But at some point, he's going to shoot his shot at Mello. It has to happen.
Well, as long as we don't see him tagged with Miz for like the first.
That's exactly what I was thinking. As long as it's not Miz, I don't care.
Well, he'll be tagging with somebody. I don't know who, because they always make the rookie tag with somebody first to get their legs under him. But Trick is a fantastic talent, so he'll be coming up at some point.
Do we see a Trick Williams and R-Truth rap collab intro coming down the aisleway pretty soon?
Well, what about a R-Truth Trick Williams tag team? In general, just I wouldn't be against that at all.
I
think
see
that'd be a
Trick
great
Williams
way to do
turning
it.
on R-Truth eventually because he loves the kids too much. You got to remember, Trick has got a nice heel streak in him that he's grown and maturated over the last 2 years in NXT,
Right.
and I think that's a real good thing for him right there as far as character-wise and bringing it to the roster. We don't have enough solid heels. Other than, I would say, honestly, most improved heel of this year, I would have to say goes to Braun Breaker.
Most improved heel?
Most improved heel, yes. His promo last night with CM Punk showed the kid his money, and like he said, he's not the future, he's the now. I was very impressed with Braun Breaker going one-on-one with CM Punk on the mic last night for the simple fact that, you always see him do these crash out promos, but never a back and forth banter with somebody in. That was their first, I believe, official face-to-face promo, and the guy handled himself very well. It reminded me of John Cena, Roman Reigns with their first real encounter, where John Cena was like, if you want to be the big dog, you better learn how to cut a promo. And, we was like, oh, snap, he's taking real shots and all this stuff. They got their elbow pokes in, so to speak, verbally.
Mm-hmm.
But I think literally we might see a new champ come January when these guys square off. And if so, this is really gonna, shake things up as far as we can still run the belt right back to CM Punk. He has 3 title reigns at the end of the day and stays in pursuit. He's so big, he really doesn't need a world title, but it's good to see him actually get it for his second time now and hold on to it. I think he still has a 3rd reign somewhere down the line, but right now is the time to, I'm not saying play hot potato, but put the belt on Braun Breaker.
Spark, you got anything to add to that before I throw mine 2 cents?
I don't personally think he's going to get it this first round. I think they're going to stretch it out for a little while.
Yeah, usually they don't.
And honestly, I think Seth probably comes in.
And I think that's why.
Something.
I think it's going to be stretched out, and then Seth helps him somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be WrestleMania, the Chamber or whatever. But I agree 100%. I was a little nervous because what we've seen of Braun Breaker, I was like, even last week when he did the promo, the hot-headed promo, and I was like, man, I wonder if they're going to be able to, tame this guy enough to cut a promo, and he proved it last night. He cut the hell out of that promo. Not only that, even the introduction with Austin Theory, I was a little nervous to see how he's going to talk, and he started a little low, and I'm like, okay, this guy, they're going to rip him apart. And the crowd booed the hell out of him, and he got under his feet. But I'm wondering, when, because one of the guys that I was going to say with that heel for the year is Logan Paul. And I mean, I think his growth on just overall, I mean, he's a perfect heel in the WWE. And I think them teaming up with the Vision is going to only help him. But I think sooner or later, I think he's going to branch off, whether that's with Heyman or not. But I
can see it with Heyman. It looks really good with Heyman. Him and Heyman. Really
and I think that's the
guy. It reminds me
of
Mike Tyson, Don King type of vibe.
Exactly. And I think that's what is going to end the Vision. I just don't know maybe if it's Braun that breaks him up because he's too big for a faction.
Else. Yeah.
Or if it's going to be, Heyman taking his guys and going elsewhere.
I feel like it's going to end the exact same way as the
Let me remind you guys of this. When has there not been a faction in wrestling where someone has been kicked out or the de facto leader that comes back and, just totally kicks the crap out of the guy that kicked him out of the group, takes the title? This is like, moon in the sky, sun in the sky type of thing. These are forever entwined. Will we see them in the storylines in the future? I hate to quote a famous childhood cartoon of ours growing up, but find out next week on Dragon Ball Z. That's kind of how it is. You got to tune in every week to see how these things are going to go.
Oh, 100%. Quick, my point and side point though as well, because it just popped up in my head before we started this one. Trick Williams with the New Day. Let that marinate.
Javon Evans with the New Day. Let that simmer.
Yeah, I like Trick better because it's
when they were faces. Trick would fit better right now. That is a good one.
And he would actually fill that Big E role really well.
Yeah, he would. That one, clock it.
I
mess with it.
the Braun Breaker stuff, though, I agree that I think he's probably one of the better heels that has improved this season. I don't necessarily know, though, if you can necessarily call him the best or most improved heel, because he was this good back when he was on NXT and he was the champion.
But he's gotten better. That's where I say most
100%.
improved.
110% he has gotten better. But I think I'd have to more side with what Sparky said. I think Logan has grown ridiculously as a wrestler. I think we forget, just because it was early in the year, his stretch with the U.S. title and how much he did for that title outside of the world of wrestling, just having it on his podcast and just pumping it up numbers wise. I think this
works for it worked great with LA Knight and his feud to really put him up there as well.
And his match with John Cena, easily the best one of the retirement tour, in my opinion. So I would have to go with that. But Braun is definitely showing himself to be the next star of the WWE. 110%. Nobody is denying that, nor will I ever. I've been a big Braun Breaker fan, but I feel it's kind of fun to watch this development, because at first we're sitting there talking about him having the natural talent of a Randy Orton. But I'm starting to look at his story more like Batista. I more see a guy that everybody doubted having a mouthpiece. Nobody ever doubted Randy could talk on a mic. Everybody knew Randy had the charisma and knew he was just full of himself to be able to talk for a whole hour and a half. But Batista was always the guy that we all saw being the big bad brute that just never really talked, kind of like Solo Sikoa was a couple years ago with the bloodline, just the enforcer. And Braun Breaker is now reaching that level of post Randy Orton Batista, when they moved off Randy, kicked him out of the group, and now Batista is the new pinnacle promo prototype. That's kind of what they're doing with Braun Breaker here, to be completely honest with you, because it's reached that level where he has to be bigger than everybody in a physical sense. He is not the smaller wrestler in any way when you look at the opponents that he's going up against. And even the moves that he uses are very big and brutish. I think that they're going to be building him more as a Batista than a Randy Orton, which means he's probably not going to be getting full of himself, but he may let the rage take over in certain situations. We may see him turn on Bronson Reed, much like Batista turned on Rey Mysterio and said, "You were my friend," and beat the hell out of him. And then that's when you see him break off into his own thing. But
there's a lot of different directions that they could go with Braun Breaker's character right now, especially in a bigger sense of the type of threat that he can be to everyone else on the roster. 100%. One question I would like to ask is, who is your guys' 2025 tag team of the year?
Are we counting NXT in this?
Yeah.
I don't know why I asked that, as if any of the NXT tag teams are going to take it away from anybody.
You never know, but yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Maybe the Street Profits have been up there for me. I'd have to sit down and really look at the
that is my point right there of how weak WWE's tag team division is.
Oh no, it's not necessarily
a wrestling connoisseur, my friend, and we collectively, I'm not just going to say you, but still have to scratch our heads instead of the light bulb is coming right on about a tag team of the year, one of the biggest wrestling organizations in the world currently right now. We cannot sit here and not say that tag team division isn't in trouble for the simple fact of that right there.
Well, I mean, again,
we should be able.
I think it goes to the women's division.
There we go.
Have to go to a women's division team,
and
I just don't know. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head,
because like Charlotte and what's her face,
Alexa,
the ones with Rhea and Io, and I'm hoping they all break up, because I'm sick and tired of them, because I want them to go for titles. I'd like to see Charlotte go for a big title. I'd like to see Rhea go for a big title, as well as Io. But I just don't know. And I think you hit it right out of the park when you first started with the whole tag team division. I'm happy that, the Wyatts got them. I'm happy that the Usos get them. But I mean, they spent half of the year last year just throwing all the tag teams in one big match because all the DIY or whatever, the machine guns, all these, it was just a jumble bumble of
War Raiders, yeah.
War Raiders, and the Street Profits, which I miss, the War Raiders, which I miss. But I think you hit it right. I think the division in the men's division side in WWE has just been weak and kind of all put together.
That's just their weak spot right now.
I can't even say
their mid card is doing great. It's
just a couple
with
months
the return
ago,
of Ilya Dragunov coming back in the U.S. the U.S. Open title that the challenge that he got from Sami Zayn, and the mid card's been flourishing. Honestly, I see the mid card producing a lot of top tier stars for 2026. We've got the return of LA Knight somewhere down the line. Hopefully we can see him in the championship role or in that card somewhere, finally give him a shot. But
I think they're going to be working on a lot more tag teams with all the guys that you've been naming, the guys that Burdick brought up. And plus, we're going to get some type of Orton return. We're going to get hopefully some type of Seth Rollins back in the mix. So I think there's going to be. I know the Hendry guy.
We need payoffs.
A lot of them.
Hendry is going to be a solo wrestler, though. No, he might do a little bit of something.
You've also got the return of Jacob Fatu coming back from dental surgery anytime now. A lot of these debuts we're going to possibly see in the Royal Rumble coming back.
100%. But my point was going to be this. We can't necessarily call it weak when, like, 3 months ago at SummerSlam or whatever it was, when we had that 4-way tag, or actually, no, I think it was 8-way, the tag team match for the titles where the Wyatts won. It was easily the best match of the year at the time. And
was it, though?
To be honest, I would say it was. That was the best match of that entire PLE. We were talking about
wasn't that supposed to be on a previous PLE though?
No, okay.
That match was supposed to.
That was a 4-way. That was a little different, but that's fair. But again, I would say that it's just going through a rebuild right now because a lot of these guys are injured. And I wouldn't be necessarily saying that it's weak. The only reason I can't pick a team right now is because there's a long list of them, and I would be remiss to not know the whole list of names because I'd be leaving out guys like the Wyatt family who have the titles right now, and deservedly so.
I just think it's lacking, and it just didn't catch your attention this year. And as much wrestling content as you've absorbed, my friend, it's okay to say that they just didn't impress you. It's okay. You can say it.
I'm not saying it impressed me, but I'm also not saying they're bad. Because again,
it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be bad. It does not have to be bad.
My point would just being is that there was a time not too long ago where I was sitting there saying we need more tag team stuff.
You should run for governor of California, man. You politicking your way through today's show.
I'm just saying it happened. This is all
everybody's
his other job after 9 o'clock. So I'm just saying.
Start with the political radio BS. You know what?
Oh man, I'm voting for you, dog. You make everybody happy.
I'm trying to just give flowers with a I think with the tag team division, it's not amazing, it's not impressive, but it's still strong. It's not going anywhere. And again, the only one that it hasn't been strong on is on Raw, and that's why we got the Usos back, because they have nobody besides the Usos and the New Day. That's literally all they have.
Which I hope themselves into a corner. The titles back soon, because I think this thing is going to work out better with New Day. And I rewatched the Uncut series over the holiday break, and it just reminded me, because it goes through Jay going up to the top and how they had to have Zoom meetings on, his stamina, and we're gonna have to pull this title from him. And I was like,
being real, that ruined his entire solo career. His entire them showing that piece of info right there gave the internet everything it needed to give him all the hate in the world. If they didn't show anybody that, and that they had any kind of questions about his stamina, we would still be seeing Jey Uso as a champion right now.
Well, they were worried about it.
I was about to say, well, at least it shut his dad up, but did it really?
Oh no, his dad. I mean, at this point, I love Rikishi. I mean, I do. Rikishi is a legend. We have his students in here every so often with Rodeo Pro.
Crap about him.
No. I'm not going to talk ill about Rikishi at all. I'm just going to say that he is essentially the LeVar Ball of wrestling right now. He is very vocal about how he wants the best for his sons, and when that doesn't happen, he's very upset about it. And honestly,
and everybody would be privileged to have a father like LeVar Ball in their corner, encouraging them to be great, even with ugly sneakers for sale, but still encouraging the crap out of your kids to be great.
100%.
I could definitely say that I agree with you on that statement.
And to be honest with you, we're just beginning to watch probably the best out of the family, or the family tree, really start their careers in the company, because Jay and Jimmy are on their way out, as much as I don't want to say that or hear that, because they're in their 40s heading into their 50s, and Roman definitely right behind them. Solo, Zilla, Jacob, that's going to be the real golden boys of the family when the careers are done. I genuinely believe that. I think that once we get those three fighting for a championship, you want to talk about bloodline rules. Holy hell. I can't wait to see Zilla finally show up in NXT, dude. It's coming. Yeah. This entire thing with Ricky Saints is going to be pushing that so quick. I cannot wait to watch this. Real quick, the only other thing that happened on Raw last night that we need to highlight, Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch continuing their feud and keeping this going as long as, the Damian Priest and Aleister Black feud, apparently. And at this point, Becky is just complaining, saying she deserves her title shot back. Do we think that she will get her title shot? And do we think they give her the belt back?
Before I answer that, I'm just going to say the lengths that they went to get Maxine Dupree over with the vignettes and all that good stuff, and Becky giving her the rub, have paid dividends.
Oh, yeah.
They need to move on and let somebody else get in the ring with Maxine before they burn out this Becky situation. Because you can a cow can only give so much milk before it needs to go graze again. You know what I mean? And right now the udder is damn near dry on this match card. I think they have juiced the max out of it that they can get for Maxine Dupree with and one of the most improved female wrestlers of 2025 in any company. I'll give it to that, especially with the push and vignettes they've been putting behind her. But also I could say that would speak for anybody if you put them in her position. This is an example of being plugged in the rocket being put to your back, so to speak, in that company, and it works for certain people and it doesn't. But yeah, I think they should move that feud on and get it on out the way and bring on Maxine's next contender to keep that IC title visible, because as far as I'm concerned, the women's US title does not exist right now.
Sparky, you got any thoughts before I go into mine?
I think they're going to line up the match. I don't think it happens. I think somebody interferes and hopefully steers off. But they've been doing this for over a year. They put Becky into these matches and then they milk it till it's dry. And I'm as a Becky fan, I'm hoping that this will branch off into something better, because I'm overly just done with it.
I agree. I agree that I am also done with it. That's why I make the comparisons to the Damian Priest and Aleister Black feud, because at this point, can we end it already? But they're going to do what they do all the time, which is just take that feud, add a little bit of spice to it for a match, and then bring it back for about 2 or 3. And this is why I'm going to bring this up. Here's how I see this ending, because it's going to go pretty similarly to the Seth Rollins Braun Breaker situation, because I do think that Braun Breaker's not going to win on January 6th, and Seth is going to intervene. However, I think that we're going to be building towards a 3-way match between Seth, Braun Breaker, and CM Punk, where you're going to see the 2 generations of wrestling pretty much passing the torch to the next generation of wrestling, which is Braun Breaker. But when it comes to this Intercontinental belt, I think they're going to throw in a third person. I think that we get Maxine and Becky and Ivy Nile for the championship, which not only will end the Maxine and Becky feud, but will also strap a rocket to the back of the Maxine and Ivy Nile feud, as Ivy Nile most likely wins the belt off of Maxine.
Finally.
Yeah.
I think that makes the most sense, although again, not in the writing room. But if we get that, and then we get a natural rivalry between American Made and this new Alpha Academy, I guess,
Yeah.
that Maxine's running, which I do think Joe Hendry would fit perfectly in eventually if he could ever get called up to the main roster, because for some reason I need to see Joe Hendry and Otis singing and dancing next to each other more than what we got this last Tuesday, because that was Friday, because that was fantastic seeing Otis dance as Santa Claus. But I think that this would be a great way to catapult both of these women into more championship mid-card status if you set up a great way for both of them to start their rivalry while at the same time allowing Becky to pretty much end hers with Maxine and go out with her championship rematch. And then she gets to move on and say, you know what? The IC belt wasn't even big enough for me anyway. The only one that is the one Stephanie has. And then we get Stephanie.
I agree with you. I agree.
I would go with that one.
Stephanie and Becky, that's money on the table right there. To get to it further down the line, I could see that happening. Seeing as how Becky's given that IC belt, I mean, more rub than a dirty shoe in 1939 at a polish box.
Stephanie and Raquel has been rocking too. Just because we didn't get to it during the show today doesn't mean that it wasn't a fantastic match last night.
Definitely.
Right.
You know,
what's next for Rhea?
I will definitely, before we get to that, I will definitely say I'm still sick and tired of Nikki Bella, but in that three-way dance they had last night, yeah, it worked for the sense of somebody needed to eat the pin.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. And honestly, you can't have Raquel keep eating pins and still build her up to be essentially Kevin Nash, because you need her
Big
to
Mommy
look
Cool.
strong. Yeah, she needs to look strong.
And it sounded like last night it's probably going to be the difference is going to be her stepping away and doing her own thing without the group. And it seemed more with Liv talking with her that maybe she's going to be the one that branches off.
Again, I don't know which direction they're going to be pulling this Judgment Day thing, but a breakaway is coming quicker than I think people realize.
I just got to say shame on Rey Mysterio for being that jealous of his son to hurt him down there in AAA. Legitimately, he always calls his POS and everything else. How many times has Rey Mysterio hurt somebody in the ring and nobody has called him out on it? I'm just gonna say it right now. For you to be that vindictive of your own son, Mr. Mysterio, shame on you, and shame on you. I hope your Christmas dinner was miserable around the table. I hope he cussed you out at every turn. And every sip of eggnog tasted bitter with tears in it for how you tried to shorten your son's career. How dare you, Mr. Mysterio?
Well, to be fair, this is just going to be great build-up for the inevitable career versus career match that we're going to be getting at some point.
And when Dominic comes back from injury, man, can you really imagine the pop this guy is going to have being as over as he is as a pure 130% heel?
Well,
I mean, the guy is dripping machismo, as Scott Hall used to say, and I'm sad to see he's going out on the end of this year injured. But one hell of a year this guy has had, man.
All I can say is
Continental and AAA Mega Champion. You gotta tip the hat and give a sensational to Dominic Mysterio.
One, do they make him vacate the belts?
Depends on how long this injury is, because
they made
a shoulder injury of that magnitude. They said it's a separated shoulder. They haven't said if it's requiring Yeah, they haven't said if it's going to require surgery or rehab. But if it's more than 6 weeks, he's going to have to relinquish that belt.
And just to take this entire conversation full circle before we let you go, I just realized I cannot wait for the day that we see Dominic Mysterio versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman for the title of America's Scumbag. That is the true championship right there, is who is going to be the world of wrestling's scumbag, MJF or Dominic Mysterio.
I think we see that match in about 3 years.
I think it's less than that, if I'm being completely honest.
I would hope. I would hope.
Maybe when TKO buys out or finishes taking care of their debt, maybe they'll just pay off Tony Khan and start paying for AEW and all their property too. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Man, you know what? We'll put that on the Christmas list for next year.
For another day. My friend, thank you so much for your time. We got to take a break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk.
It's the last one of the year, people.
Welcome back. Early Bird Special, final segment of the day. And technically, KG is still in the chat room. Hold on, let me shift over real quick, buddy. Your segment's over. You can go home.
Yeah,
Or
I
technically,
was like, yo, I had to put a J
hold on. We have
Uso
to
though.
turn you on. Hold your thoughts real quick. Yeah, buddy, the segment's over. You can go home if you would like to.
I was just doing the J Uso. I was like, we
running it back? We running everything back now?
We running it back.
Well, since we got you here still,
year, folks.
No. Since we got you here still, real quick before we let you go, what are you excited for Stranger Things? We were just watching the final trailer right now.
Well, I'm gonna put it like this: they could have did this a couple years ago. I understand how television shows work and all that other litigation and crap like that, but I'm ready for it. You know, it's like a Band-Aid. Rip it off. Let's get it over with. I'm not paying attention to all the internet hate that people have with the storyline. These are things that are wrapping up. Things we kind of already knew, and some things we didn't know that took place in the first season that they're bringing back around. Everything comes to an end, but I really feel like this show could have went maybe 3 or 4 more seasons. But these guys are aging out. Do what you're gonna do. Spin it off. Make the money that you can. And yeah,
there'll be plenty of spinoffs. You could plan. You could definitely plan on that one. But I'm excited. I can't wait to see this. I wish I was going to see it in the theater, but it is what it is. I'll sit at home and enjoy it just the same. So,
do you really want to be around like 50 other mouth breathers and commenters?
Oh, 50? Are you kidding me? There's every showing is sold out. Every showing in Bakersfield is sold out. I'm shocked how many people are going to see this, to be completely honest with you. But this is probably
I'll watch it from the comfort of my living room.
I wonder if they're going to actually like give it like the possibility of like winning an Oscar. Do you think?
Well, I think what they're doing, what they're really doing is testing out if Netflix or viewers will really go out to a theater if encouraged to by their platform.
Oh, 100%.
If they're advertising, let's just say if they said the last episode of Stranger Things is only going to be available in theaters and you have to wait 6 months to see it on Netflix, everybody's going to the theaters. So this, to me, I feel like it's just a testing phase for the theater industry and studios like Netflix, Warner Brothers, that are just absorbing everything right now, to see how adamantly people will still pay to go see a movie.
No, 100%. And actually, I just thought about this right now, but this also opens the door for Netflix movies to be released in theaters and potentially saving the theater industry. Like, because everybody's so worried about the streaming services taking everything away from theaters. But if we just release the movies in theaters, like you just said, like maybe a month ahead of time, maybe a week or 2 ahead of time, it would drive people to the theaters to go watch it first, and then you can go watch it at home. It would make a lot of sense.
As long as they're buying things at the snack bar.
Yep, that's all that matters. Just go buy some things. Go buy the popcorn.
As long as they give it plenty of time, I feel it could work almost like the VHS releases. It was damn near like a year when you got something on video after it came out on in the theaters back in the day. If they just give it a nice 3 to 6 months breathing kind of room, like how Warner Brothers did with Superman before they released it on digital, the James Gunn version of Superman, you had a good 3-4 months of it in the theaters, and then it was bam out like that. I feel like it could save theaters as far as where they say it needs saving at.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's one of the big things is not only that, but if they do like, special popcorn tubs or, the Stranger Things cups, I mean, you can go to any store right now and there's Stranger Things Doritos, Stranger Things, Pop-Tarts, cereal, everything.
Hell, next week they've got a Stranger Things WWE crossover on Raw.
Which I'm nervous on how the hell they're going to do that. But
hey, remember what happened with that zombie match when they did that crap, right? That Walking Dead match, and Miz got hurt for the first time ever in his career.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't know what to think when they do movie. All right, I will always be forever against movie wrestling crossovers on a show. Ever since WCW did that Halloween Havoc with RoboCop, and Chucky, like.
Yeah, I get you.
Ready to Rumble?
Yeah. But here's the thing. When Mortal Kombat
I wasn't a fan of Ready to Rumble.
When Mortal Kombat comes out, though, and Street Fighter comes out, if we don't get a match between Cody and Roman, where they are in gear that is inspired by their characters in Street Fighter.
Don't say that out loud. Don't say that, because WWE will make them dress up like that. Look what they did to the War Raiders.
110%.
Look what they did to the Street Profits.
I need to see Cody with the Guile haircut in a wrestling ring. Now, we don't need to go full Akuma for Roman, but you get my point. They have to at least wrestle once in the gear.
Well, I was hoping Cena
if you want
to, but they didn't do that.
You know what? That's a good point.
If you want to see that, go watch that AEW match with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and they dressed up as Street Fighter cosplay.
Hate on Kenny Omega. Sometimes Kenny Omega.
I ain't hating. I'm just pointing out the real
references.
He really did that. They
Saffron.
dressed up like Street Fighter and went and wrestled some guy, and they did Street Fighter moves in their wrestling match.
Because Kenny Omega is amazing. Kenny Omega is a nerd, as we all are, and he is a great person. Sir, we got to let you go. Have a good weekend. Have a good holiday. We will see you next year. Or actually, you'll be hosting the show with me on Friday as Sparky takes a well-deserved day off. I forgot about that.
Yes.
So we will see you on Friday.
All right. Yes, indeed. You guys take care now.
All right, let's shift over. We did get some breaking news here before we let you guys go out of the world of basketball, as Joker has evaded an ACL tear. It looks like it is just a hyperextension. He will be out for at least 4 weeks, and that's going to ding the Denver Nuggets and their hopes, obviously, here in the regular season. But luckily, it is not a season-ending injury for Joker, and we will not be having to sit here and wonder what could have been for the Denver Nuggets had they had Joker on the court this season. Spark, what are your thoughts?
I mean, they got lucky.
They got lucky on
the way he hit the floor last night, it looked like it was done.
Honestly, it really did. And that's the major fear nowadays, too, is when you see those non-contact or just the major knee injuries. I think everybody automatically goes to, oh, God, they tore an ACL, just because that's how often we see them nowadays. We were talking with our guy Bobby in here a week ago about that and what possibly could be the changes on the football side, at least, of getting this stuff taken care of. And I don't know if there's a good answer for it, to be honest with you. I don't know if there's a good or bad answer for it. It's something in sports that we now have to deal with, much like concussions. And we are going to have to find a way to potentially prepare these athletes for that kind of an injury, or hopefully find a way to stretch out the ACL and make it so it doesn't get injured as often. I have no idea. That's something for a medical person to be able to sit there and talk to you about, which I am not in any way, shape, or form, as most of you know. We got to get out of here for the day, though. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you will join us tomorrow, 7 to 9, for our New Year's Eve edition of the show. I don't know if we're going to be doing anything super special.
Bolt and Holt
for sure going to be here at the 8 o'clock hour. Plus our guys from BC football are going to be joining us as well. We'll be pumping up what they got coming up in the 2026 season, plus talk a little football with them. It is bowl season and college football playoff season, so can't wait to talk to our guys Kenny and Rob Chavez tomorrow as well. So join us. Until then, we got to get out of the way for the legendary Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.